Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for joining our webinar dedicated to how you can leverage Apple Search Ads for the purposes of ASO. My co-host today is Thomas Kriebernegg. He's an app enthusiast and the CEO at App Radar. Hi Thomas, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi Lina, thank you very much for having me, and also hi guys, looking forward to this session.
Yeah, me too. How's it going, guys? I'm still working from home because actually I'm still working from home, and I came to the office today especially for the webinar. And Thomas is already working from office.
Or I'm already back in the office, yeah.
Or maybe you have always been working remotely. Please type in comments. It's interesting. And speaking of comments, during the webinar, you may ask questions as the main part of the webinar is over, we will allow some time, say 10 or 15 minutes for a small Q&A session, and we'll do our best to answer all your questions. Anyway, if some of the questions are not answered, we'll send you the follow-up letter that will include the answers. By the way, the webinar is recorded, so after that you will be able to get the video along with the presentation. Oh, my full fridge is always at hand. I totally understand you. I think it's both good and bad. So guys, shall we start? I think there are a lot of you already here. So let's get back to the topic of our webinar, how to nail ASO with the help of Apple Search Ads. The App Store, as well as Google Play Store, is a complex and constantly changing environment. And while the app stores are altering algorithms and adding new features, the number of mobile apps and games continues to grow. And it's not a secret that in this highly competitive environment, choosing the right keywords for your App Store listing is actually critical for success of your mobile game or app. So today we are going to share with you how you can leverage Apple Search Ads to find the most relevant, popular, least competitive keywords, how you could take a look at them from a kind of longer perspective, evaluate their real performance, and identify those ones that help you improve the conversion rate and generate revenue. In simple terms, we'll tell you how you can use Apple Search Ads for your organic ASO strategy. So let's start, and here's the webinar plan. Take a look. First of all, we'll discuss how you could use Apple Search Ads to find new keywords. Then we'll move on to figuring out which keywords bring in conversions and what's even more important, revenue. Then we'll discuss how you could use an inbuilt tool in Apple Search Ads called Creative Sets as an alternative to a large-scale mobile A/B testing platform. And finally, we will discuss some other interesting ways how you could leverage Apple Search Ads, this promising channel, for the benefit of your mobile game and app. So let's go. Let's start with discussing how you could find new keywords for ASO with the help of Apple Search Ads. But I should say, before we discuss Apple Search Ads here, first of all, you should utilize some other tools and carry out and conduct an initial keyword research. Thomas, could you share with us?
Yes, for sure. Thank you very much for the introduction, Lina. So yeah, guys, when talking about search ads and when talking about search, I think the first most important thing is that you really have the user journey in mind. So this means when we're talking about the channel search, we're talking about users that are entering the App Store on their smartphone, and they have a particular thought in their head, what they are currently looking for. And the way how they express what they're looking for is by entering keywords within the search field. So therefore, it is really important that you understand that search is all about keywords. And when talking about keywords, one of the first question that comes up is, where do I find actually good keywords for my app or for my mobile game? First of all, what I have to recommend at this stage, please forgive me, is use App Store optimization tools like App Radar, for example, who can help you identifying good keywords for your app or for your mobile game. Additionally to that, there are also other alternatives out there which you can use to find keywords. One of them, for example, is the Google Keyword Planner. When talking about the Google Keyword Planner, please have in mind that this data is mainly focused on search within a normal web browser on your laptop, for example. This means people are looking a little bit different on their smartphone compared to Google search, because you only enter search phrases that are not so long, for example. Next, I think one of the biggest or the best things that you can actually do is to do brainstorming around keywords. So get all your team aligned, talk with them, also get your developers on board, because those guys often have really great ideas for keywords. Sit down together in a room and brainstorm around keyword ideas. Next, you can also verify those keyword ideas with the auto-suggestion feature that both app stores have. This means when you're entering the App Store and you enter only one keyword, for example, so let's say fitness, you will get automatically suggestions for which kind of keywords you might be looking for. So this is also a really great idea or a really great tool that helps you identifying keywords that are actually being searched for within the app stores.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. I have something to add here. Actually, here's a small tip. The higher a keyword in the list of your auto suggestions, the higher search popularity it actually has. We'll later discuss search popularity, but keep that in mind.
Great tip. Yes, exactly. Next up, a good idea also to get keyword ideas is to make surveys with your users and with your customers. You can simply ask them, which keywords or how would you describe our app to one of your friends? By doing surveys like this, you will find really good inspiration for keywords that users actually are using out there when describing your app. So this can also be a very powerful source for really good keywords. And last but not least, I would also recommend to checking out the thesaurus. A thesaurus can help you find synonyms for specific keywords, which can also be a really good source for keywords or for finding good keywords for your app or your mobile game out there. Good. I think what I already mentioned, when talking about keywords and when talking about keyword research, I think the really most important thing is that you always have the user in mind. So you should always have somebody in mind who is currently thinking of something. I'm going to download this app because I want to do something very specific with it, or want to do something very specific now at the moment. So therefore, it is important that keywords are really relevant to your app, because otherwise you won't get this match. When I'm looking for an app that helps me tracking my running activities, for example, and you show me a mobile game, I'm not going to download it because I want to go for a run. And you always have to keep this in mind. So relevance and targeting relevant keywords, I think this is really one of the kind of key points that we would like to address here in today's webinar.
Sorry, Thomas, I totally agree with you. And I would say that using irrelevant keywords for your metadata, for your App Store listing, might even have an opposite effect, since Apple will soon track that, and your app, if you are using irrelevant keywords, will soon see the drop in impressions and in tabs. And you don't want it, right?
Exactly. When talking about impressions and maybe also not getting enough clicks, one of the things that we are also often seeing, and I think I'm talking also for you, Lina, is that a lot of people out there, when they're running search ads, the first ideas, keyword ideas that come into their mind are keywords like Facebook, like Instagram, like WhatsApp, Snapchat, like all those really, really big apps with the thought, okay, a lot of people are currently searching for the keyword Facebook, so it would be great if my app is being listed there. Generally speaking, the idea is okay-ish in the terms of smartness, I would say. But I can tell you it simply won't work because, first of all, those keywords are super competitive because a lot of people have those ideas out there. And also, at the other hand, once again, addressing to point number one, relevance. When people are entering the App Store and they are searching for Facebook as a keyword, you can be quite sure that they actually want to download the Facebook app. So even if you're shown there, chances are really super low that you are not getting any installs, but you are also, on the other hand, really wasting your budget there because you are placing ads on keywords that are not relevant to your app or to your game out there. Next up, when talking about stopping to waste money, so to say, it's also very important that you set up a negative keyword list. This is simply to control the algorithm to not spend your money on useless keywords. So when you identify keywords that only bring you bad traffic or that even don't work at all, put them into a negative keyword list and you can be sure that your ad will not be shown on those keywords. And I think when talking about keywords, one of the most important things, no matter if it's App Store optimization or if it's Apple search ads, it is that it is an ongoing process. This means you really have to redo it over and over again. You have to come up with hypotheses, you have to test them, and you have to find out if those hypotheses that you have work out or not. So it's really not a one-time job. I think, Lina, you can totally agree on this, right?
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with you, Thomas. It's just like with App Store optimization. It's a common ASO mistake, actually, because many beginning ASO experts and mobile publishers think that ASO is a kind of one-time action. But you have found those perfect, relevant, popular keywords, have added them to your metadata, and that's it. They expect that they will get to top charts, followed by thousands and millions of installs, but that's not how it works in real life. Like Thomas has already said, it's a continuous process, and it's worth making that.
Exactly.
So we have discussed the initial keyword research, and once you have conducted the initial keyword research, you are ready to take advantage of the Apple Search Ads opportunities for finding new keywords. The first one is popularity scores. As you might already know, such popularity level indicates how many users are looking for an app, like yours, for example, using specific keywords. And popularity scores in Apple Search Ads indicate the level of popularity of keywords with the help of blue dots. Actually, the higher number of dots, the higher the popularity score. But you might need a little bit more data, a little bit more concrete numbers. So I would like to share with you a quick tip. You can actually use Search Ads Keyword Popularity Checker. This is a free Google Chrome extension by SearchAdsHQ, our company. And it's absolutely free, available in Google Chrome extensions. And it will enable you to see search popularity numeric values and maximum possible impressions per keyword. And what is more, you may check the popularity of a particular keyword across various storefronts. So thus you will have even more accurate data on search popularity of keywords. Someone has already shared, Mariah, thank you so much, has already shared the link. So you could just go and add this extension.
Highly recommended, by the way, that you really download this extension, because this will make your life so much easier, because when you log into search ads and you only see those dots and you have to build up your campaign on these dots, I can tell you this is really not leading to anywhere, I would say. We're talking here about data-driven marketing, so therefore it is really important that you also have more insights on which keywords you're actually targeting. So therefore, highly recommended. And I think, Lina, you can agree, we're talking about data-driven marketing, and this is a really good tool for it.
Yeah, totally. All of us want to rely on data to make data-driven decisions for the best results. So you need, for that purpose, you need the exact numbers, the concrete numbers. And this extension will help you in that. Thank you, Thomas. However, finding keywords which are just popular is only half of the job. Thomas has already mentioned that keywords should be relevant, but I would add that, in fact, keywords should be a perfect combination of high search volume, low competitiveness, and high relevance score. So to find such keywords, you could run discovery campaigns in Apple Search Ads. With the help of discovery campaigns, you'll be able to identify relevant terms, long-tail keywords, synonyms that combine all the three requirements I've just mentioned. You could do that with the help of search match and broad match, and thus identify relevant keywords. What is search match? Actually, the basic idea of search match is similar to that of the broad match technique, but it doesn't require to specify any keywords and add them to the list of your keywords. This method helps discover keywords that could somehow be missed. For example, search queries for competitor apps or even localized keywords. So you might want to take advantage of search match option. Now let's move on closer to discovery campaigns and deconstruct how they work. To mine keywords in Apple Search Ads for your ASO strategy, create a separate discovery campaign for each storefront and set a comfortable budget to spend on searching new keywords. Here you may ask me, and what is comfortable budget? Obviously, the bigger the budget, the faster you will find more high-performing and relevant keywords. However, I would recommend here to stick to 20-80 rule. It is allocate 20% of your ad budget for the discovery campaigns. So here on the slide, you can see steps which you should follow. First of all, you should create a separate discovery campaign, like I said, for each storefront and set a budget. Then create a search match as group without keywords and with search match option enabled, and set your bid at the ad group level. Within the same campaign, create a separate broad match ad group with broad match keywords and with search match option off. If you already have a list of exact match keywords, you could just add them to your broad match group. To avoid unnecessary competition for impressions, don't forget to add keywords from your broad match campaign as negative exact match keywords in discovery campaign and vice versa. So what's next? You should give your campaign a couple of weeks to run. Why? This will guarantee that you collect sufficient data. Again, we're talking here about data-driven marketing. So this will guarantee that you collect sufficient data to analyze new search terms that Apple Search Ads matches to your ads.
I think here it's really important what you mentioned, that it takes a little bit of time. So don't be, don't get nervous when you set up the campaigns and you don't see research within the first hour or something like that. It simply takes a little bit of time. First of all, the algorithm needs to adapt to your app because you're a new advertiser, you're placing your ad out there for your app. So it just takes a little bit of time. So don't be nervous. Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. And I see here in the chat, Alona has answered about broad match, and thank you, Hannah. Hannah has already answered, that's right, and I will talk about it further a little bit. So once, Nicola, how much time I think it depends on your app, but from 14 days, it's kind of good.
Exactly. Time. I would also say 1 to 2 weeks. The more budget you're spending, the faster your ads will be running, so to say. But I would also recommend to have a look at it for 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, so that they have enough time. After that, you should proceed to identifying good search terms, bad search terms, and search terms with insufficient data. So again, you may ask me, what are good search terms? What are bad search terms? Here on the slide, you can see some data. And the best way actually to evaluate the quality of search terms is to look at their cost per acquisition. Here on the slide, it is CPA. For example, let's imagine that your target CPA is $5. The inquiries that have more than 0 downloads, just 1 or 2 and further, and their CPA is less than your target CPA, less than $5, these search terms can be considered good. Analogically, bad search terms are irrelevant and or just non-performing search terms which don't bring you any installs and eat up a sufficient amount of your ad budget. For example, 3 times more than your target CPR. It has $15 instead of $5. So here you can see a filter you could apply actually. If you have less than 1 download and your spend is more than $15, 3 times of your target CPA, or you have, let's say, 1 download and your cost per acquisition is more than your target cost per acquisition, is more than $5, then those search terms are definitely bad search terms. And speaking about search terms with insufficient data, actually, there are some cases when you have not enough data to draw conclusions. First of all, in case if there are no conversions and at the same time your spend threshold hasn't been reached yet. For example, the search terms have spent less than $15, 3 times of your target CPA, but haven't brought any downloads yet. For example, the number of downloads equals 0 and spend is less than 15. Or the second case is when we are speaking about so-called low volume terms. It happens since the data you request may be below Apple's privacy threshold. For example, search terms must reach at least 10 impressions. Otherwise, the low volume value appears in your search term reports. And age, location, or gender reports require minimum 100 impressions before search ads can show any values. So what should you do here? If your report has returned the low volume value, give the data some time to accumulate or extend the date range up to, speaking of the date range. In this case, you should extend the date range up to 30, 60, or 90 days to get more data. So, just a sec. What should you do next once you have identified good search terms, bad search terms, and search terms with insufficient data? You could actually stick to this algorithm. Please take a look at the slide. You should add the winning search term to exact match group. And actually, depending on your account structure, there can be several exact match groups where you need to move this keyword. Also, simultaneously, you should add the win inquiry as an exact negative keyword to your discovery campaign. What should you do with bad search terms? You don't need them, right? So you should add them to your discovery campaign as negative exact keywords. Thomas has already spoken about negative keywords list, and that's how it works here as well. And with search terms with which you have insufficient data, as I've already said, you should give them some more time. A good practice implies that you should repeat all these steps I've mentioned above every week or fortnight, since again, like Thomas and I said, both App Store optimization and working with Apple Search Ads and mining new keywords with the help of discovery campaigns, all of these processes are continuous. So
exactly,
they're good to repeat them. So now we have learned how to find keywords used as search queries by users, but how do you know, will they bring you any conversions, or what's even more important, will they actually generate revenue? It's important to spot such keywords and add them to your App Store metadata. With Apple Search Ads and data on tap-through rate and the conversion rate it actually provides, you can recognize keywords that are not only popular among users, but also generate conversions. That's what I think every App Store optimization strategy strives for, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Just to take over here a short moment, yeah. Yes, when talking about keywords, it's really about identifying those keywords that in the end will bring you good users to your app. This is what you're looking for. You don't look for keywords that bring you a lot of impressions or that bring you, I mean, yes, a lot of installs is always good, but in the end, what you want is really users that are using your app, that are playing your game. So therefore, once again, super important relevancy, that you have the right keywords, that you're targeting the right keywords that bring you the good users there.
Yeah, and resultant conversions.
Exactly.
And speaking of conversions, here's again, I would like to share a quick tip. You could run Apple Search Ads and learn whether using a name of a competitor in your keyword set increases the number of conversions for you. And Thomas will share more details later. So Apple Search Ads, as you have already understood, probably, it's kind of treasure trove with the help of which you can find new relevant keywords. But sometimes another tools are needed, like, for example, mobile measurement partners or MMPs. Apple Search Ads combined with mobile measurement partners will enable you to analyze lower funnel metrics and post-install events, and this will enable you to analyze such crucial metrics as retention and revenue. In other words, with the help of Apple Search Ads and analyzing post-install events with mobile measurement partners, you can see how specific keywords perform not only right now, but in the long run, in the bottom of your user acquisition funnel. And based on that, you can identify relevant keywords that bring revenue-driven actions, like, for example, subscriptions or purchases in a mobile game or app. And thus, you'll be able to make your SEO strategy data-driven and value-based. And once you've identified such keywords that bring you conversions and what's even more generate revenue, you can rest assured that your keyword choices are based on data, like Thomas already said. So you may now add them to your App Store metadata. And now we are moving to the next part. We could discuss not only keywords that you could find for your SEO purposes, relevant keywords that generate revenue and conversions, but you could also utilize Apple Search Ads as an alternative to a large-scale third-party App Store A/B testing platform, like, for example, SplitMetrics. So here is, like I've previously mentioned, here is an inbuilt tool in Apple Search Ads, which is called Creative Sets. You can use Creative Sets in Apple Search Ads to run kind of App Store A/B tests and check the performance of your screenshots. You could check that performance, of course, based on data on your tap-through rate and the download rate. But here's a small moment I would like to mention right away. This is kind of thing to remember. When customizing your creative sets, note that screenshots will save the order in which they were uploaded to App Store Connect. So you can't mess up the order. However, you're free to make some tweaks and thus test those screenshots that are usually not displayed in search and are hidden on your product page. And here I'd like to share a few best practices with you on how you could use creative tests for App Store A/B testing. First of all, of course, like I said, users and you don't see all your screenshots on the search page and even on your product page. Users usually see the first 3 portrait screenshots. And with the help of creative sets, you could test screenshots below the fold. And here I showed you various combinations. For example, users see the first 3 screenshots, A, B, and C, and you could test A plus B plus D, C plus D plus C, just keeping the order. But within the best practices, I advise you to test each screenshot below the fold. For example, if you have 6 screenshots in the portrait mode, I would recommend you to test such combinations like the first one, the second one, and the fourth, the first one, the second one, and the fifth, the first one, the second one, and the sixth. What will this bring you? You will find out which of the screenshots below the fold performs best, and what is more, you will be able to compare the performance of each of these custom creative sets with your default set, which includes the third screenshot. And maybe you will decide to replace your third screenshot, for example, with the fifth or with the sixth based on their performance. So what else? You could also, below the fold, Miriam, I mean screenshots that are usually not seen in search, right? Like I said, users see the first 3 screenshots. They don't see your screenshots which you have uploaded to App Store Connect. So the screenshots below the fold are the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, etc. So how else could you use creative sets? Actually, it's a good idea to test planned features. Imagine that you are going to add a few features to your mobile game, right? So create screenshots that would reflect new features, configure custom creative sets, and see whether the conversion rate is higher or lower with add variations that include these screenshots that promise new features in your mobile game. Based on this information, you will find out if users are interested in these features and decide if you should add them to your app. You can also use this best practice to promote your new cool features. You're sure they're cool and users like it. So you could promote them via custom creative sets and thus re-engage some of the users. Display core features and align to audience types. It's not a secret that there are apps and mobile games that incorporate diverse features, diverse options for users. And you have only 3 screenshots to show all the features to them. So you could use creative sets to show all your features, to display all your core features to the audience that is interested in them. Let's imagine that you have an app for booking flights and for booking hotels. So to avoid a case when everyone is seeing just that this app enables users to book flights and says nothing about booking hotels, you could create several custom creative sets. And one will display the option of booking flights, and in this ad variation will be actually shown to users who are interested in booking flights. And the other combination, which includes information on the screenshots about booking hotels, this ad variation will be shown to users who are seeking to book hotels.
I think maybe if I think this is a really, really important point that you're mentioning here, Lina. And I also would like to pick up the question of Irina here, because she was also asking if it might be that the creative sets that are working best for ASA are not the best ones for ASO. And this comes into play here. So in the example that Lina mentioned, if you have an app where you can book flights and book hotels, for those people who have in their mind, I want to book a flight, they go into the App Store, they search for booked flights, then they find your app. They will find exactly also the screenshots where they see that they can book flights. Then you have kind of this perfect match there. People will know, okay, exactly this is what I'm looking for. I'm going to download this app now and I'm going to book my flights. On the other hand, for people that are looking to book hotels, if you now optimize, let's say, your screenshots that you always optimize for booking flights as the first screenshots that show up organically, which now means that people looking for hotels might see the screenshots from your organic store listing to book flights. And then we have a little bit of this mismatch here, because now people are looking for hotels, but they see, okay, I can book flights here. Then they need to find out, okay, can this app also help me to book hotels as well, or is it only for flights? In this case, what I would recommend is that you split up your screenshots, for example, your first and your second, one for booking hotels, one for booking flights, and then you have on the organic store listing view above default also seeing both options, so to say, which gives you also better conversion rates for those people that are looking for either both keywords and then are going to also maybe also organically download your app, so to say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. Great note. Totally agree with you. So let's, like I said, there are apps with that incorporate diverse features. And another example here is apps for, I think they are especially popular right now when many of us are working from home. And I'm talking about apps for meditation and stress release and relaxation, and at the same time for so-called wake up yoga. So you could build custom, in this case, you could build custom creative sets and schedule ads with them for various segments. How will this work? Part of your target audience will see your app's ads in the morning. They will contain screenshots giving a hint on how to wake up without a cup of coffee. And other users will see your ads late in the evening when they are fighting insomnia. And they will see your app showing them how they could quickly fall asleep. So it could be a very useful option for you. So similarly, you could adjust your app to each target audience. If you build a mobile game, you could show your screenshots with a male character for women and your screenshots with a female character for men, or vice versa. You will find out what works best for you when you test these custom creative sets. So, Thomas, will you join me here?
Yes, for sure, sure. So now we talked really a lot about ASA and finding the best strategies there, finding the best keywords and really nailing it down that you get the best potential users for your app or for your mobile game out there. Now comes the question, how can I also reuse all this knowledge that I built up? And here comes the really good point, and where we're talking about the perfect symbiosis between App Store optimization as well as ASA. So because one of the first things that you can do once you figured out the keywords that are really driving good users to your app, that are really driving people that register an account or that make an in-app purchase or that do a subscription or something like that, depending on the type of your app, you know, this is exactly the traffic you want to have more of. And the way you can do this is by integrating those keywords into your store listing, because this will also improve your chance of organically ranking for those keywords, which in other words, when everything works well and you are positioning in good organic spots, which means that you will be getting a lot of free traffic, highly targeted of good users for your app or for your mobile game out there. Next up in this regards is also what is very, very important. I think, Lina, you can also support me on this. Both
Yeah,
we are not speaking English as our main language, which means that also when we're searching for stuff within the App Store, we're not only using English, but also our native language. So in my case, for example, with German. So this means it is important that you also localize your store listing, because I can tell you when I'm looking into the App Store and I see two different or two very similar apps, chances are way higher that I'm going to download the one that has been translated into German. And I really have to say good translated into German. So not only Google Translate, but if it makes sense, then chances are way higher that I'm going to download the German version, because then I think, okay, they also optimized it for, in my case now, the Austrian market, so to say. So therefore, it is very important that you localize your store listing, that you take your keywords from the different languages, from the different campaigns that you're setting up, and put it into the corresponding store listing.
Yeah, it's an important tip. Thank you, Thomas.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, last but not least, also one thing that we have seen, once again, this is going into relevance, but also like Lina already mentioned, a lot into A/B testing as well. What you can do, you can also integrate keywords within your creatives. So for example, when we are talking about booking flights, what you can do, you can also make a caption for your screenshot where you put book a flight, for example. Once you do this, once you upload it into the App Store, people searching for book a flight, they see the first screenshot, they say in a big caption, book your flight now, for example, and chances are also super high that people are going to download the app, because then they also once again see, okay, this is what I'm looking for. I found it. This looks exactly like the app that I want to use now. I'm going to download it now. So once again, always try to have the user journey in the back of your head when optimizing your strategy, and then you can really find out what is working the best.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. And I would like to add here something. I think you guys should keep in mind that users from different regions have not only different languages, but also they might have a different mentality and cultural specificities. So you could actually localize your app not only in terms of language, which is useful, of course, but also you could not only translate your captions on screenshots, your title, subtitle, description, but also in the context of culture. Our clients at SplitMetrics, famous app called Masquerade, you might have already heard, Facebook acquired it a couple of years ago. They adapted their app to cultural specificities of various regions by localizing not only language, but also app screenshots designed for each country individually, and it paid off. I don't want to lie, I don't remember the exact number, but they gained kind of, we are talking about millions. They gained 1 million or 2 millions of additional downloads right after launch, thanks to localization. So keep that in mind, because being culturally sensitive is really, really important today. And if you are going to enter different markets, don't neglect app localization in order to not miss out on opportunities. Similarly, for example, you could adjust your app listing to various holidays, events. Like, for example, if you are launching an app or it is already live, but you could adjust that to some call this, like, for example, if you're entering the Chinese market or you're already there, you could adjust your icon and add there some symbols of the Chinese New Year. And I think it will definitely work, but as we are speaking about data-driven marketing, you should rely on data here. So here I would like you to run App Store A/B tests and compare how users from specific storefronts actually react to your to the original version of your App Store product page versus the localized one, and make a decision based on that. For such purpose, you could use, for example, our SplitMetrics App Store A/B testing platform. I share a link here in the chat, so that A/B test will make sure that you are relying on data, and they will prove that you need localization. But you won't know actually until you try. So here are the final part of our webinar. Last but not the least, here are important points to be discussed on how else you could use Apple Search Ads. Thomas, shall you start?
Yes, totally. Would be great if you could switch to the next slide.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Because the first topic that we're going to talk about of how to use Apple Search Ads out there is a strategy I think that is very well known, and it falls into the direction of brand attack as well as brand protection. What does this mean? It means that with the help of Apple Search Ads, it is possible that you can rank on every keyword out there that are people looking for, which also means that it gives you the possibility to rank on keywords, to rank on the brand names of your competitors as well. And believe it or not, this is a very common strategy within today's app stores. So it is very common that people are bidding also on the keywords of their competitors within Apple Search Ads, which we refer to as the name of brand attack. And on the other hand, we also have the topic of brand protection, which means that you're also bidding on your own brand name, on your own brand keywords that you are being found there, as well as organically, as well as in the ad, so that the traffic is not going to your competitors, but it is really going to your app. One really cool thing about App Radar in this case is we have a feature there which enables you to look deeper into keywords and also to find out who is running ads on those keywords. This is extremely handy when it comes to the topic of identifying if competitors are running ads on your brand keywords or not. So I would highly suggest that you go over to appradar.com, create an account, and check it out if competitors are running ads on your keywords as well. Additionally to that, you will also see other features there as well. Like, for example, you can also save time finding relevant keywords for your app with the help of our keyword finder, where we have different modules that will help you identifying really good keywords. When talking about Apple Search Ads, when talking about market leaders also as well in Apple Search Ads, what you can see on the right-hand side on the screenshot is a top listing of information that you can see within App Radar, who is currently running the most ads or who is currently running the most search ads within the App Store. Within App Radar, you can find this out very, very easily. Also a really good feature to just look around and also identify current trends that are going on. Last but not least, yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
No, thank you so much. Great tips. I would recommend you guys to pay attention to the App Radar's tool.
Cool, perfect. Yeah, because last but not least, also the great benefit of an App Store optimization tool is that you can also really track your organic rankings on specific keywords. And this is really where App Store optimization plus ASA comes into play, where you can build this perfect symbiosis where you can find out, am I ranking well on these keywords organically, and am I also ranking well by running ads on these very important keywords to me, so to say.
Thank you, Thomas. So what point goes next? You could also utilize Apple Search Ads for app promotion at the pre-launch stage. Yeah, it's not a typo. I'm talking about the pre-launch stage before your mobile game or app even goes live. Actually, this option is also available on Google Play Store and is called pre-registration. And the idea is that users will see your app among search results and on other pages before it's even live, and they will be obviously able to pre-order it. They will just how it works. I'm now talking about how it works on the App Store, right? They will just click the Get button, and when it's live on the day of launch, they will receive a notification letting them know that your app is available. And leveraging a pre-order or pre-registration feature will bring you a number of benefits. Here, please take a look on the slide. Here you can see an example, a real-life example from the App Store, where the mobile game took advantage of this feature. So, pre-order feature on the App Store will reinforce your PR efforts, and it will create buzz around your app even before it is live, and users will get interested and will try to download it, to get it. They will talk about it even before it's live. Also, you will start on the day of launch. You will already have a bunch of downloads, since you are not starting from the white paper. You will already have some downloads. You will also learn more about your target audience. You'll see how users react, maybe based on different indicators like tap-through rate. You'll see whether users would like to download your app. And maybe the thing is that you should streamline your SEO strategy. Maybe something is wrong with keywords or with your creatives. So knowledge you'll gain from taking advantage of pre-order option, which is totally free, will help you also to streamline your SEO strategy. But we are now talking about Apple Search Ads for SEO, right? So you could actually run Apple Search Ads to identify relevant keywords and growth points with the help of this pre-order option. You may ask me, how does it work? Well, it works just the way it works with all other apps. First, you choose that you would like to enable the pre-order option for your mobile game or app, and then you then the option of running Apple Search Ads for this pre-ordered app becomes available for you. So what else? How else could you use Apple Search Ads? You could use Apple Search Ads right after launch to increase the visibility on the App Store right after launch, not only before launch. Using Apple Search Ads for your app right after launch will help you get initial traction and boost your visibility on the App Store. Furthermore, as you might already know, traditionally the leading apps, market leaders, so-called, they occupy top positions for the most popular search queries on the App Store. And you could change this situation with the help of Apple Search Ads. With this user acquisition channel, you could provide your app or game with an opportunity to run ads for these most popular search queries and occupy the position on top of search results.
I think that here one key point is exactly after you launch your new app or your new game into the App Store. Nowadays, we really have to say there are millions of apps within the App Store. So just putting your app into the App Store, and what we are often seeing over here at App Radar, focusing on the topic of App Store optimization for organic keyword optimization, we often see that people really think putting the app into the App Store and it will work out of a sudden completely alone without doing anything. They will start ranking the most competitive keywords. They will getting millions of downloads and it will be rich. I can tell you it's a nice dream, but this dream is really not happening anywhere today, nowadays in the App Store, because there's simply too much competition. In other words, this means when you release a new app, when you release a new game to the App Store, it is very important that you also have some marketing budget reserved to really get some initial traction, to build up a hype around your app, around your game. So to really get people install it, play it on their smartphones, give you feedback. You really need to get this going, and Apple Search Ads, I think, is a really good channel that you can try to utilize because it's also one of the cheaper ones out there. So therefore, yeah, highly recommendation to also take it into your launch strategy.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. And our next point has to do something with a question I actually saw in the chat.
Exactly.
Does ASO paid ads helps in organic ASO ranking? So now Thomas will provide you with some information regarding that.
Exactly. We also prepared a slide for this. Perfect. So as you can see, we somehow were already expecting a question like this.
Yeah.
So here is the answer to it. Can Apple Search Ads also help my organic rankings? So first of all, yes, it can have a positive impact on your App Store optimization. It can have a positive impact on your organic rankings. But there are a couple of buts now following, so to say. The first is you have to be very precise when it comes to targeting the keywords that you want to boost. So in other words, when you go out there and you said you only have, for example, a limited budget and you want to rank for thousands of keywords and you want to boost thousands of keywords, their organic rankings, I can tell you this simply won't work because the algorithm will try to spend your budget over thousands of different keywords, which will lead to that you will only be seeing a handful of downloads per keyword. And this is too less of a signal for the App Store algorithm to identify, okay, this keyword is now really super relevant to this app or to this game. So therefore, when you want to run this strategy, either you have really a lot of budget or you target very specific keywords in very specific markets and try to boost those. Because as mentioned, it really counts that you're getting installs through this keyword and that the App Store algorithm gets a positive feedback, so to say. I think one of the things that's also very, very important when talking about ASO, when talking about organic visibility within the App Store, you have to put the keywords that you want to be found for within your App Store listing, either in the title, the subtitle, or the keyword field. The higher, so to say, the more importance it gets directly from the App Store algorithm. But if you want to boost the organic ranking of a keyword that you're not showing anywhere and you're running ads on it, I can tell you this simply won't work. So therefore, always good to have the keywords that you want to boost also in your title, for example, or in your subtitle, and then run very specific campaigns on it. And when running the campaigns, I think monitoring is kind of the most important thing there, because when you run this strategy, it's not like you set it up and you don't have a look at it anymore and you hope for the best. No, once again, we're talking about data-driven marketing, which means that when you set up these campaigns, you also have to watch the organic rankings. You have to monitor the organic rankings of those keywords that you want to push. And once again, a little bit of advertisement over here for App Radar. Go over to appradar.com, create a free account, and check out how you're ranking for different keywords out there. And then you can also identify if the strategy is working for you or not. If not, go again through this list. I'm quite sure the reason will be somewhere in those points mentioned already.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. And speaking of the keywords, I've mentioned once when how you could mine new keywords with the help of discovery campaigns. I actually mentioned the whole algorithm, and I told you where you should add good performance search terms, bad performance search terms. The thing is, in this case, if you don't have any additional tools, you should do all of that manually. It definitely takes time and takes your attention. And here I have a quick tip for you. There are actually a number of platforms for Apple Search Ads management and automation and optimization that could be really very helpful. And one of such platforms is our SearchAdsHQ platform. You might have already heard about that, since we are creating, we at SearchAdsHQ are creating a lot of educational materials on Apple Search Ads. We are an official Apple Search Ads partner, and we will definitely make your life a little bit easier. For example, when we are talking about run discovery campaigns, with the help of SearchAdsHQ, you could do that just automatically and spend your time on more strategical tasks, while irrelevant search terms, irrelevant keywords will be automatically added to the negative ones, and the good performing keywords, search terms, will be added to the exact match groups. So here was my quick tip. And the next point is about trending keywords, right? Thomas, do you have?
Exactly, yes, exactly. Trending keywords, what are they? Within the App Store, when you click on the search icon, you will see a list of keywords already standing there, so to say. Those keywords are trending keywords, and they are also very unique per market, meaning very unique per country. In the other, what are those keywords? Those keywords are the keywords that people in those markets are looking for the most currently within the App Store. So this means that those keywords are, in other words, very trending, and this can be a really good source for ideas for new apps, for new games. I would say especially hyper-casual games might be a really good fit for this, because we're talking here about highly searched keywords within the App Store. And if you're a game publisher that is producing hyper-casual games, and you're able to produce very fast, very good, small kind of games, it might be really worth the try to checking out trending keywords and see if you can produce a game, especially for a trending keyword, because then I can tell you a lot of people will be searching for exactly this keyword. And when they see that your game is a really good match for this keyword, for this trend that is currently happening in their country, chances are quite high that they will download your game, and it might end up becoming a real big hit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. I think that totally works. And like I said, about adjusting your creatives to specific events like Chinese New Year or Oscar events, just the same, you could work with keywords, and utilizing trending keywords definitely could help your app succeed on the App Store. And the last but not the least point here is re-engagement. You know, there are lots of apps and mobile games on the App Store. I think you would all agree that we are not using all of our downloaded apps. And sometimes we forget about some of them. Sometimes we delete some of them because we are run out of memory. So here, Apple Search Ads can be helpful again. You could run your Apple Search Ads campaigns for users who previously downloaded your app. They may have it on their devices or may not have, but they will see it with the help of ads on top of App Store search results, and may get interested. They may get interested again. Maybe the time has passed and you have added some new cool features. So you could re-engage users with the help of Apple Search Ads. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Thomas. It's been a pleasure talking to you, just as ever. Guys, you've been so active. I've seen a lot of questions in the chat. Thank you so much, Hannah and Mariah, that answered, I think, the most of them. Let me see through the chat. Maybe there are some more questions. Let's see, Thomas.
Where do you see, there is one question, where do we see those trending keywords? I'm trying to show it to you exactly on my phone. So when you are, I think this should work, the dark mode. So when you are in the App Store and you click on the search icon, then you will see this list with the keywords, which are the trending keywords. I'm currently, or my phone, so to say, is currently located over here in Austria. This means that the keywords that I'm seeing are the trending keywords currently within Austria. But you can also, and here comes now a little bit the complexity to it. If I want to know what are the trending keywords in, for example, Germany or in Italy, I would have either traveled there, or on the other hand, I could use App Radar, which would be the smarter way. And there I could also look up trending keywords in other countries as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Thomas. And I see, I think I've just seen another question. You could help me. Someone asked about what about so-called normal screenshots versus landscape screenshot, when these ones could be better. Well, we actually noticed that horizontal creative sets can work better than vertical ones for apps that have horizontal user interface. And what do you think, Thomas, about landscape and portrait screenshots?
Yeah, I think once again a topic that needs to be tested, I would say. I
totally
think one
makes sense.
Totally. I think one little trick that some publishers out there, especially in the gaming area, are using, where you can also get a little bit creative if you have the creative power in the back in your team, so to say, is you can also try to fake it a little bit, which means if you're building a portrait, a landscape screenshot, and then you build it up like it would have 3 portrait screenshots in it. And this could make a little of a nice effect, and could also be a little bit of a trick out there, especially if you use it as a preview video. There are some fancy things going on into this direction. So in the end, I think you have to test it out. You have to find out what is working the best for your app, for your game. But there are plenty of also creative options out there, what you can test.
Yeah, thank you. There are more questions, I think, just a sec. If having a problem with insufficient data, would a more consolidated structure where you will have 4 countries together in one discovery campaign help out? Well, if you mean, do you mean one discovery campaign for 4 storefronts, right? You can actually put some storefronts together in one discovery campaign in case if you know for sure that the customers users in these storefronts behave similarly, they have a similar mentality, they share a common language, for example, like in Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and but having a difference still gives you more transparency. So you could try anyway.
There's also a good question from Alejandro. Hopefully I pronounced your name in the right way. Does retention from the users you get from one keyword matter for ranking for it? I think this is a really good question. In the end, to be honest, I don't think that the App Store algorithm at the moment is already smart enough to really take exactly all those signals in their consideration when deciding which app is ranking on which position for which keyword. But nevertheless, the App Store algorithm will get one positive note on this keyword, because when you're getting an install through a specific keyword, then you're showing the App Store algorithm, okay, this app is relevant to this keyword. And as far as we have seen, it doesn't matter if it's the first time or if it's also a reinstall, you always give the same signal back to the App Store algorithm.
Yeah, so that's important to use relevant keywords, like we've already said, and it works actually 2 ways. You get installs, and at the same time, App Store says, this is a relevant keyword for an app, so I'll show this app higher in the App Store search results. And here's kind of similar questions. How do we know users coming from a particular keyword are more likely to make a purchase? Well, thank you, Greg. Greg has already answered. For this purpose, you could use Apple Search together with mobile measurement partners. There are several available in the market, like, for example, AppsFlyer or Adjust. These tools will help you track what happens in your lower user acquisition funnel, not only on the surface. This world is relevant, okay, but maybe someone downloads your app and then deletes it right away, or they don't make any purchases, don't subscribe. So you could track that information together with mobile measurement partners. And thank you again, Greg mentioned if this works for users who didn't enable the LED option. So
I think it looks good that we answered, I guess, most of the questions.
Yeah. Again, guys, this webinar has been recorded, so we'll send you a follow-up letter where we include useful links, useful information. Again, I will attach the presentation where you will see my contacts and the contacts of Thomas. So please feel free to reach out to us anytime and ask any questions that's left unnoticed. Thank you so much. You've been very
motivated.
It has been a pleasure to collaborate with Thomas, to talk with Thomas and get useful tips, and just the way it was pleasant to talk to you guys, very active. Thank you so much. Let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, Lina. And yeah, have a nice day. Bye-bye, guys.
Have a nice day, guys. Thank you. Bye.